Hello everyone. Now many companies are adapting with the new ISO Environmental Management Systems or ISO 14001-2015 EMS. Here we will introduce to you one of the important clause ISO 14001. Clause 7 talk about support, which includes resources, competence, awareness, communication and documented information. One of the clause support is 7.1, resources. It states that all organizations must provide the resources necessary for the establishing, implementing, maintaining, and continual improvement of the EMS. Resources are essential for the effective working and improvement of the EMS and to further environmental performance. The top management must establish that individuals with EMS responsibilities are supported with the essential resources needed. Internal resources may be subsidized by external providers when necessary. Resources can include first, human resources, those with specialized skills and knowledge. Second, natural resources. Third, infrastructure such as buildings, equipment, underground tanks and drainage systems. Fourth, technology. And last, financial resources.
7.2 Competence. It is not enough that an organization has all the resources needed to operate, but it must ensure that these resources are highly capable of fulfilling their assigned tasks to obtain the intended results. The organization has to determine the necessary competence of the person doing work under its control that affects the performance and effectiveness of the environmental management system, so that the organization should identify the necessary competencies to achieve the intended outcome of the environmental management system and address gaps, including taking actions when needed to acquire the necessary competence. To ensure these people are competent based on appropriate education, knowledge, training, skills or experience, it is also important that everyone in the organization is aware of the organization knowledge needed to get him aligned in the shared vision in achieving this. The common information can be useful to ensure that the identified competency needs are addressed, track programs on closing any gaps, and enable communication of relevant information to interested parties. At a minimum appropriate, document information should be written as evidence of competence.
Next is awareness. Top management has a key responsibility for building awareness in an organization in relation to the environmental management system and environmental performance in order to enhance knowledge and promote behavior that supports the organization's environmental policy commitments. This includes making employees and other persons working under the organization's control aware of the organization's environmental values and how these values can contribute towards the organization's business strategy. Top management should ensure that all persons working under the organization's control are aware of the following. First, the organization's environmental policy and its commitment to the environmental policy. Second, their contribution to the effectiveness of the environmental management system, including the benefits of improved environmental performance. Third, the significant actual or potential environmental aspects and associated environmental impacts of their work activities. And lastly, the implications of not conforming with the environmental management system requirement, including not fulfilling the organization's compliance obligations. Example of methods to increase awareness can include internal communication, visual signs and banners, campaigns, training, or education and mentoring.
Communications. Communication in the making of ISO 14001-2015 of Environmental Management System (EMS) is very crucial, as it stands as a great foundation for an overall effective EMS. Communication consists of three parts: general, internal, and external communications. For an effective communication, an organization must establish the processes for communications that is relevant to the EMS, considering the organization's compliance obligations in identifying what information needs to be communicated, when or under what circumstances it needs to be communicated, to whom it needs to be communicated, and how it will be communicated. In developing processes for communications, the organization should consider nature and size, significant environmental aspect, nature, needs, and expectation of interested parties. In general, the process steps should include gathering of information or making inquiries, determining target audiences, selecting relevant information, deciding on communication information, determine on appropriate method and format for communication, evaluate and periodically determine effectiveness of communication process. However, not all communication must be documented like informal communications, only those provide value-added benefits to EMS does. Internal communication is the communication between and among different levels and functions within organizations. For an effective EMS, it is crucial to communicate for problem solving, coordination of activities, follow-up on action plans, and further development for EMS. Correct information will serve as tools to motivate and encourage workers to improve environmental performance of the organization and achieving its environmental objective. In short, all organizations should have a process that allows communication from all levels of organization, which recognize commands and suggestions to be made to improve EMS and environmental performance. Result from EMS monitoring, audit and management review should be communicated to significant or relevant persons only within the organization. Communication with external interested parties can be critical and effective tool for environmental management to cover on compliance obligations, communication processes, and communication of information relevant to EMS, including distribution, use and disposal of products, and lastly, to document all relevant external communication for future reference.
Clause 7.5 Documented information. According to ISO definition, the term documented information refers to the information that must be controlled and maintained. Documented information has the following sub-clauses. The first one is general. An organization should develop and maintain sufficient documented information to ensure that its EMS is operating effectively, is understood by a person working under the control of the organization, and other relevant interested parties. Documented information can be controlled in any medium, such as paper, electronic, photos, and also poster, that is useful, easily understood, and accessible to those needing the information. Next, creating and updating. When creating and updating documented information related to the EMS, the organization should ensure appropriate identification and description, format and media, internal review and approval for suitability. And the last one is control of documented information. That means control of EMS documented information is important to ensure that information can be identified, information that is obsolete can be removed, and information maintained by the organization can review or revise as necessary. That's all about Clause 7. Thank you for watching. See you again. Bye-bye.